What did you think about the fight, Jake Paul?
I hate it. And Jake Paul's starting to piss me off. Stop this nonsense going against dude that either ain't boxing or is 25 years removed.
Stephen A. Smith did not hold back when reacting to Jake Paul calling out heavyweight boxing superstar Anthony Joshua. Smith went off on Paul, making it clear that it's time for the YouTuber-turned-boxer to step up and fight real competition. He emphasized that Paul needs to stop facing internet celebrities, aging legends, or relatively unknown fighters. Smith even dismissed Tommy Fury as a legitimate challenge and openly mocked Paul for setting up a fight against 58-year-old boxing icon Mike Tyson.
Well, the time has come to get in the ring with boxers. And Tommy Fury don't count. Nor the no-name dude that you caught with an uppercut and put him down in the first and second round. Nor is it the 58-year-old Mike Tyson.
Stephen A. Smith has also questioned Jake Paul's dedication to the sport of boxing, challenging him to be fully transparent about his training regimen. Smith suggested that Paul needs to prove that he is serious about boxing rather than just treating it as a spectacle. In response, Paul defended himself, stating that people often assume he is not fully committed. He emphasized that he trains hard, puts in the work, and is determined to improve as a fighter. Paul insists that he wants to be recognized as a legitimate boxer and is continuously working to silence his critics by proving his skills in the ring.
Tell people what your workout is like and tell people how much you work on boxing and being in shape.
You know, at the track, 800, 400, 200, 800, 400, 200, 200, sparring, sprinting, all types of workouts, pull-ups, sledgehammer, tire flips, jogging 5 miles after that, abs, getting punched in the stomach non-stop, and then doing it all over again the next day. Ice baths, recovery, yoga, meditation, visualization, manifestation of winning the fight. So I think people get confused by me promoting the fight. They think I'm just like messing around by making these skits and having fun. And they think I'm, not gonna come in and take these guys head off.
Jake Paul recently made an intriguing claim, stating that Stephen A. Smith's team reached out to his management to arrange an appearance on Smith's podcast. According to Paul, despite attempting to follow up directly with Smith, he never received a response. This situation has raised questions about possible miscommunication or scheduling conflicts between both camps. Some speculate that Paul's public mention of the unreciprocated communication might be a strategic move, either to pressure Smith into a response or to highlight perceived contradictions in Smith's criticism of him.
I literally changed the channel from watching Stephen A's First Take to watch BS with Jake Paul. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. That's what we made this show. Stephen A. Smith, bro. Your team texted my team and said that you wanted me to text you to come on your podcast. So they gave me your number, I texted you, you never responded.
You left him on
What's
red.
going on?
Stephen A. Smith has strongly criticized Jake Paul for his decision to fight boxing legend Mike Tyson, calling it an unnecessary and questionable matchup. Smith argued that if Paul truly wants to be taken seriously as a boxer, he should be facing opponents within his own age range and skill level. He believes that rather than calling out highly experienced professionals like Anthony Joshua, Paul should focus on fighting active competitors closer to his level. Smith's main concern is that Paul appears to be prioritizing publicity over actual competition, which could hinder his credibility in the boxing world.
I can't buy the hype at this particular moment in time. Now, I'll give Jake Paul credit for this. At least he's in the ring with a boxer. But 57 years old is 57 years old. And 57 years old and formally walking into a UFC fight as an audience member, as a patron with a cane. It's hard to me to believe a year later that you're going to be in any condition to really, really fight. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. And if you're Jake Paul, here's what I want to say to you. It's Mike Tyson, that's fine. It's a money fight, I get you, and you want to make money. But at some point in time, if you keep telling us that you're taking boxing seriously and you want to be recognized as a big-time boxer / fighter, you're going to have to fight somebody closer to your age, who is a contender at the very least in the sport and who lives with it every single day. Could you please get in the ring with somebody? Pretty please with sugar on top. I'm interested.
For a long time, Stephen A. Smith has been skeptical of Jake Paul's choice of opponents, repeatedly pointing out that he primarily fights non-boxers or athletes well past their prime. Paul, however, has defended himself by claiming that he genuinely attempted to fight Tommy Fury, but that Fury backed out. This moment marks a crucial phase in Paul's boxing career. While he has secured victories over former MMA fighters and aging athletes, he has yet to prove himself against young, rising boxing stars. His bout against Tommy Fury, which resulted in a loss, was one of the rare instances where he faced an opponent with legitimate boxing credentials. Paul insists that Fury avoided a rematch, but critics argue that if he wants to earn respect, he needs to consistently fight skilled boxers like Fury.
You are beating up on dudes who don't box. They're not boxers.
I was on Disney Channel while these guys were winning UFC championships.
Okay.
You know, I was playing with Mickey Mouse while these guys were throwing arm bars and winning UFC championships. Everyone's, analyzing my career, critiquing it, paying attention to it from day one, but you can't tell me who was Mike Tyson's first fight. You can't tell me who Muhammad Ali, who is his fourth fight. No one knows, but everyone's seen all of my fights. I tried to fight Tommy Fury. Yeah, I tried to fight Tommy Fury, and he backed out due to a rib injury. Undefeated, young prospect. He comes from the Fury family. His brother's the heavyweight champion of the world. I tried to fight him, and he got scared.
Stephen A. Smith has also raised concerns about Jake Paul's ability to handle real power punches. He dismissed the idea that Tommy Fury delivered any significant damage to Paul in their fight, stating that Fury isn't known for his knockout power. Smith believes that if Paul truly wants to go toe-to-toe with elite fighters, he must first prove that he can withstand heavy punches from high-caliber opponents. Until he faces a fighter with serious knockout potential, Smith remains unconvinced that Paul has been tested properly in the ring.
When have we seen Jake Paul get hit by anybody? It wasn't by Tommy Fury. It damn sure wasn't by Nate Robinson. Okay, it wasn't by Nate Diaz.
I think he took some big shots. He took some big shots from Fury.
Fury doesn't have big shots, Kyle. He can't punch. That's the one thing
I
he
mean,
can punch.
not like a legend, like Mike Tyson, but Stephen A. is 58, bro.
I agree.
I love Tyson. I don't even want to be saying this publicly, but it's Prize Picks, so we got to be truthful. I don't want to see it, but I think it's going to happen.
I don't want to see it either, but here's what I'm saying to you. I'm thinking it's going to be a long night, short night in a bad way for Mike Tyson because of his age. I get that part. What I'm saying is no one has hit Jake. So what if Jake finally does get hit? What do you think will happen then? We've never really seen him get hit.
Smith has repeatedly stressed that while he wants Jake Paul to fight legitimate boxers, he doesn't believe Paul is ready to face world champions or boxing legends. When addressing Paul's aspirations to fight Canelo Alvarez, Smith bluntly told him, "You are not ready for a world champion." Paul has publicly called out Canelo multiple times, but Smith insists that he is nowhere near the level required to compete with such an elite fighter. According to Smith, Paul should focus on gradually working his way up the ranks before attempting to challenge top-tier boxers.
Think that you ready for some guy like Canelo Alvarez, though?
I am beyond ready.
Jay, come
I
on,
beat
man.
Canelo
God,
Alvarez.
Stephen A., you're just not happy with anything. First, you're like getting there with a real opponent, and then you're like, you're not ready for Canelo. You're not that crazy. Well, make up your mind.
What is your name again?
My name is Julia.
You can't sit up there and say I'm not happy with anything because I'm saying get in with a real boxer. But in the same breath, I'm like, you ain't ready for a world champion.
But I'm beating world champions in sparring.
Okay, I didn't know that.
There were rumors that a fight between Jake Paul and Canelo Alvarez was close to happening, but it ultimately fell through due to complications involving Turkey Alec. Paul had been pushing hard for the matchup, which would have been one of the biggest fights of his career, but for now it seems unlikely to materialize.
Basically, everything was ready to go. 1 yard line, signed LOI. Basically, Turkey hates me. Absolutely hates me. We heard through the back channels for multiple weeks because we've been negotiating since the Monday after the Tyson fight. So we were negotiating for 2 months straight. That's a lot of time. And the whole entire time, Turkey was doing everything in his power to strip the fight, try to not make it happen, calling Canelo, calling Eddie Reynoso, basically saying, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? To the point where he had to threaten Canelo to pull his 3-fight deal you're not fighting Crawford. I'm not paying you any of this money. And he's basically paying him over $100 million for this random fight in May. And Canelo at some point is like, okay, you bought me.
Boxing legend Andre Ward has also weighed in on the situation, offering his perspective on Jake Paul calling out elite fighters. Ward stated that seasoned boxers don't feel frustrated or threatened when someone like Paul challenges them. Instead, they see it as mere entertainment. Ward made it clear that if he were in a similar position, he wouldn't even bother acknowledging the call-out, stating, "I don't have time to entertain the circus." His comments suggest that he, like many others in the boxing community, views Paul's fights more as spectacle-driven events rather than legitimate boxing matches.
I understood where Canelo's coming from. Anybody for that matter. If, like you said, if you've been in a fire, how dare anybody come to me and act like I'm supposed to fight you? And, you know, you're a YouTuber that turned to boxing, and I'm a champion walking around here, and y'all acting like I need him. Do you think they're justified in feeling annoyed when people come at them like that about Jake Paul?
I understand completely where Canelo's coming from. If I was an active fighter, I wouldn't entertain it either. You know, when you in the fire and you still in the game like that, you got real issues and beef going on. You got real opponents, like dudes that can really hurt you, that you need to figure out how to beat them and when we gonna fight and all that kind of stuff. I don't have time to entertain the circus. I don't have time for you to have my name even associated with a dude that ain't really a fighter like that. So I understand completely with it. He ain't got a lot of time to entertain that kind of stuff, but you know how it goes, Stephen. And people say they're not interested in something until that number get large enough, and all of a sudden it's gonna make a lot of sense.
Over the years, Jake Paul has faced widespread accusations that his fights are staged or manipulated. Many believe that he carefully selects opponents who are willing to lose for a hefty payday. Some skeptics argue that his fight with Tyron Woodley was orchestrated, adding to the ongoing speculation that Paul is more focused on controlling narratives than genuinely competing in boxing. Despite these claims, Paul continues to insist that he is taking the sport seriously and is determined to prove himself.
Hey, I'm sorry to have to ask you this, but I know you probably signed NDA, but blink twice if that Jake Paul fight is set up.
Blink twice.
I know you probably
I
can't
don't
say
never
that.
blink because I got these liberty eyes. I don't need much air, you know what I mean, to keep them open. A lot of people wonder that, but think about this. If I say Rampage pay you $2 million, right, that this dude beat you, what you gonna do? You're gonna feel disrespected, number one.
Yeah.
Right, that ain't enough money.
Yeah.
But I got paid in the Jake fights. For me to do that, I gotta be willing to walk away for good, and they gotta set me up for a while, at least not for life, but something like 20-something million where I can invest it and fall off in the shade, because that's what you would have to do. Would I do something like that? You would have to know me to know I'm too solid of a guy to even have somebody walk to me and ask me.
Yeah.
What happened to me is what was gonna happen to him had he dropped those hands. Before we fought, I said, hey, you can knock me out and I can knock you out. I'm gonna try to fuck you up tonight.
Prominent boxing promoter Eddie Hearn recently revealed that Anthony Joshua is currently recovering from an injury and will not be fighting until at least August. Despite this, Jake Paul has still called him out, leading many to question his true intentions. Joshua was initially expected to fight Daniel Dubois this year, but due to his injury, the fight was canceled. Now, with Paul challenging Joshua despite the situation, some fans and analysts wonder whether Paul is truly serious or simply trying to generate attention.
And for Anthony Joshua to return, we've heard absolutely nothing about it. Now, the Daily Mail are saying that Anthony Joshua is actually injured. Return timeline: as Eddie Hearns reveals, the heavyweight is unable to enter even training camp due to an injury setback. Anthony Joshua's estimated return date has been detailed after Eddie Hearn reveals the heavyweight has suffered from a setback. The British been out of action since he lost against Danny Dubois at Wembley last September. With his future up in the air on the back of the devastating knockout defeat, fans have been curious to know as to what his next move is, with no announcements made, despite reports he could face longtime rival Tyson Fury as soon as this year. Now, however, it's been revealed that Joshua is dealing with an injury, as revealed by Eddie Hearn when asked if Joshua could face Dubois in a rematch after the champion pulled out of his fight against Joseph Parker due to illness. Let's carry on. That's kind of a bit more of a miscellaneous stuff. No rematch with Dubois will be happening anytime soon, though, Eddie Hearn revealed, as he detailed when fans can expect Joshua's return to the ring. So we won't be seeing Anthony Joshua in the ring against Daniel Dubois for a rematch. That's not going to happen. I'm going to quote Eddie Hearn here directly. Now, it's interesting because Eddie Hearn hasn't really revealed much detail on it, but bear with me, it says, not a lot to report. Not a lot to report. Joshua's promoter Eddie Hearn told IFL from Australia, look, he resumed training, and to cut a long story short, without going into too much detail about any injury, he's not really ready to start camp. He needs another 8 weeks or so on his injury.
Many boxing fans and analysts believe that Jake Paul's repeated callouts of top-tier fighters like Anthony Joshua are merely a publicity stunt. They argue that Paul would stand little to no chance against an elite-level boxer like Joshua. Boxing commentator Matt Millen has also weighed in, stating that Joshua has already accomplished everything there is to achieve in the sport and that his best years are behind him.
I think when you lose a fight, you know, your pride's hurting and you want an immediate rematch. I think when the dust settles and actually that comes down to making that happen, you know, with AJ being 34 years of age now and everything he's achieved, like the Olympics were 12 years ago, over 12 years ago, and it's just been in the spotlight ever since. He's won everything. He's made, you know, been 2 times heavyweight champion. I don't even know what he's made money-wise. Like, what's motivating him really to fight now? And the thing is, like, you know, yeah, you want to make as much money as you can when you're boxing. Of course you do. And you do your deal and you negotiate, and then really you forget about it, because actually it's not the money driving you every day in the gym. You know, yeah, you need to sort your business side of things out with your manager and promoter. You want to get as much as you can. But once that's done with, when you're in the gym and you're going through the pain barriers, it's not money that's driving you on. Do you know what I mean? It's to win, to be the best. And AJ's been the best. He's probably not going to be the best ever again, because I've never known a fighter at 34 to get better. The performances go downhill from here, and it can be hard to accept at times, because you're dealing in fractions of seconds, you know, between winning and losing, between getting hit with a shot, slipping a shot. And I just think, like, you've seen that fight with Dubois, you've seen AJ, and AJ was coming into it off 2 good wins with a new trainer. His confidence in his team was good. You know, do you know what I mean? Everything was good for AJ going into that fight, and he didn't perform. You know, he got caught badly in the first round. Well, I think he got caught cold at the end of the first round.
Even though Anthony Joshua is injured, he has not entirely dismissed the idea of fighting Jake Paul. According to Eddie Hearn, Joshua personally told him, "Listen, I'd fight him." While many see this as an unrealistic matchup given Joshua's status as a former world champion, the fact that Joshua even acknowledged Paul's challenge has kept the conversation alive. A growing number of fans have expressed interest in seeing Anthony Joshua face Jake Paul in the ring. Many believe that Joshua would dominate Paul with ease, proving once and for all that Paul is not yet ready to compete with elite-level fighters. That wraps up today's coverage. Be sure to stay tuned for more updates on the latest boxing news and upcoming fights.